social construction of race. She uses a model for the social construction of gender. It's very, very important. So I'm online, and so I'm reading James Haley. Is James Haley here? Probably. James Haley has this wonderful article on Richard Wright. I'm trying to, and he's starting to talk about Africana existentialism. I never heard that before. And I thought, here I've been griping that other people are so isolated, that they're not paying attention to my work. And I realized, whoops, there is a big world out there that I was totally ignorant of. So I emailed Lewis Gordon and invited him to do the keynote, which he instantly accepted. I love you, Lewis. And suggested several organizations, Philosophy Born in Struggle and Caribbean Philosophical Association. So we went with them. Bryan Lee, my wonderful colleague, suggested the title, Diverse Lineages of Existentialism. Love it, Bryan. And then reading Lewis's work, I came across this book, Convergences. Never heard about Convergences, and it got me to Kathryn Gines. I love you. The Collegium of Black Women Philosophers, who became our biggest sponsor. I said I wouldn't cry, but you know, it's really wonderful. Thanks, Kathryn. So anyway, the NEH grant fell through, but who cares, because we had a fantastic response from the people who had come in. We changed this to make the conference the Diverse Lineages of Existentialism, and we set up a pre-conference symposium on Beauvoir. From Bergson to Black Feminism, Beauvoirian lineages. They didn't like that. They turned us down, but who cares? So a lot of those people that were going to be a part of the symposium have graciously agreed, all the funding fell through, graciously agreed to come here and present papers. That was sort of the starting point. So in 2013, in January, SIU became the sponsoring institution. That was great, because it was going to have to be on my credit card, and that was not going to work. We signed the contract with a Hyatt. Thank you, SIUE. And we started organizing the program, organizing the conference, publicizing the calls for papers. And then one of the joys of my life has been working with Jane Gordon, who is so creative. These program sessions that you see, these wonderful titles, I'd like to welcome Jane Gordon.
Actually our 11th annual international meeting. And yes, wow. And as an organization, the motto of the Caribbean Philosophical Association is shifting the geography of reason. And from day one of the existence of the Caribbean Philosophical Association, we've taken very seriously that you can't even begin to shift the geography of reason without paying very deliberate and ongoing attention to questions of gender and sexuality. And so when Peg approached us about co-organizing a meeting, the obvious answer of yes came immediately. But what's been really striking about planning the meeting is that it's not just nice to co-organize a meeting. What became clear very early on, and I think the example of James Haley's article about Richard Wright and Simone de Beauvoir is a perfect example, is it was actually essential to do this, right? That many of us study figures like Sartre, or de Beauvoir, or Fanon, or Ansel Dua, right? And that these were people who actually lived and built transnational transformative networks, and we can't actually even really understand what they were doing unless we try to follow in their footsteps and then move beyond them. And so for us to do rigorous work at all, we need to be having meetings of this kind. And so it quickly became clear that it's not just nice for us all to gather together, but we actually need to do this. This is essential work. And so I'm delighted that you're all here, and I'm looking forward to the conversations that will follow from it. A couple other things.
Can't hear you, Dr. Gordon.
You can't hear me. I'm sorry, Matthew. Come on in, though.
Come in.
Come on in. The other thing that all of the organizations here share is a sense that you can't do real intellectual work without a humanistic orientation and a humanistic environment. And so one of the things that I hope you'll see very quickly at the meeting is that we all will engage each other incredibly intensely and with great enthusiasm, and I hope that you'll do that as well in the panels, but also realize that the discussions that are taking place here extend far beyond the panels as well. So I hope you'll join us this evening and that you'll gather, because a lot of this is about building the communities we need to do our work. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm delighted you're here, and I look forward to the beginning of a very long conversation.
Thank everybody for attending, and everybody. It's been a lot of coordination. It's been a lot of coordination and cooperation, and it's been an extraordinary process getting here. And I think it's a real testament to cooperation and co-cyclical interaction. And this is a really marvelous, and I think historically unprecedented meeting, and I hope that we have a great conversation, and you know, I hope that we possibly do this again in the future. So thank you, Jane, and thank you, Peg. This is really an extraordinary event, and it's very good to see everybody. Thank you.
I'm the founding director of the Collegium of Black Women Philosophers, which is a philosophical organization launched in 2007, whose purpose is to encourage and foster a networking and mentoring relationship between the underrepresented Black women in philosophy, including undergraduate and graduate students, as well as assistant, associate, and full professors in the academy. The inaugural conference was featured in the Chronicle of Higher Education, the Philadelphia Inquirer, and diverse issues in higher education. For those of you who haven't heard of CBWP or seen the website, the objective of the organization is to mentor and retain Black women who are currently professors or graduate students in philosophy, while simultaneously recruiting more Black women into the discipline. The specific goals of the CBWP are to increase representation of Black women in philosophy and the academy, to provide a network for participants to share their experience and expertise, to help participants in graduate programs in philosophy successfully complete the PhD and transition well into the job market in the academy, to help participants get tenure-track positions, to help participants successfully navigate the track to tenure, and to help them develop research projects into publications, along with offering mentoring and professional development. In my estimation, CBWP also benefits the profession and discipline of philosophy through increased diversification along the lines of race, ethnicity, nationality, gender, and sexual orientation, to name a few. The CBWP annual conference has been the primary vehicle for achieving these goals. Each year we bring together major scholars ranging from Anita Allen, Patricia Hill Collins, Joy James, and Patricia McFadden. We host about 30 to 50, depending on the year, Black women faculty and students in philosophy, offering them workshops. And this year for 2015, or next year I should say for 2015, the dates of the CBWP are April 9th through the 11th, and our keynote speaker is none other than Melissa Harris Perry. So you may want to make your way to Central Pennsylvania next April. For the remainder of my remarks, and they're very brief, I just want to acknowledge Joyce Mitchell Cook, who's the first African-American woman to earn a PhD in philosophy. She did so from Yale University in 1965 with a dissertation on value theory. We learned that Professor Cook recently passed away on June 6, 2014, and so I just wanted to give a little bit of background on her for people who may not have heard of her or know who she was. So Cook received her A.B. from Bryn Mawr College in 1955 with distinction in philosophy before earning her B.A. in 1957 and M.A. in 1961 with honors from Oxford University, where she double majored in philosophy and psychology. According to George Yancey, Cook was the first woman appointee to teach in the philosophy department and the first female assistant instructor outside of foreign languages at Yale. She held this position from September 1959 to June 1961, during which time she was also the managing editor of Yale's The Review of Metaphysics. Additionally, she was the first African-American woman to teach in the philosophy department at Howard University, a post she held from June 1961 to September 1970, and she also held teaching positions in philosophy departments at Connecticut College and Wellesley College. When imagining the inaugural conference for CBWP, the image would not have been complete with Dr. Cook's presence. I was able to obtain her contact information from Adrienne Piper, who was the first African-American woman to be tenured in philosophy. And I reached out to Joyce Mitchell Cook, not sure exactly what to expect in terms of her reaction to my call. I followed up the conversation with the following letter because she asked me to send her everything that I said in the call in writing. So I had to send her a follow-up, like not an email, but an actual letter. So Dr. Joyce Mitchell Cook, please receive this letter as a follow-up to our conversation on Saturday, February 17, 2007. As I mentioned during our conversation, my name is Kathryn T. Gines, and I'm an assistant professor in African American and Diaspora Studies and Philosophy at Vanderbilt University, which is where I was at the time. With a great deal of support and encouragement, I've launched a philosophical organization under the title Collegium of Black Women Philosophers, and I write to ask you to be our honored guest at the inaugural conference to be held October 19th to the 20th in 2007. Your acceptance of this invitation means that your travels and hotel accommodations during the conference would be paid for by the Collegium of Black Women Philosophers. I will contact you again by phone so that we can make travel and hotel arrangements on your behalf. The award reception in your honor will be held Friday, October 19th, 2007. During this reception, we will present you with an award for being the first African-American woman to receive a PhD in philosophy in the United States and for your outstanding achievements in the profession. I believe that each generation should honor the generation that came before and made a way for them. You have truly laid the foundation for all of us who come into the discipline of philosophy after you. Please accept this invitation and allow us this opportunity to recognize you and honor your contributions. And then I'll close with her quick reply to me. So she says, Dr. Gines, thank you for your prompt follow-up letter to our telephone conversation of Saturday before last. I very much appreciate having received also the internet information you sent me, so I basically printed out the information from the website and mailed it to her. I had no idea your organization was so far along in its mission statement, which seems to me to have anticipated the major ways in which newcomers to the profession may benefit from advice from those who have been there. My personal reaction is that I was born 40 years too soon, if indeed people any longer say such a thing. I too look forward to our meeting in person along with all the others. Adrian Piper introduced me to Anita Allen about 15 or so years ago when she was still at Georgetown. And I may have met a few others who may be there, so it will be a reunion for some of us, I hope. All the best in your arrangement. Sincerely, Joyce Mitchell-Cook. And I'll close on that note, and thank you for the opportunity.
Well, philosophy is a feminist society focusing on continental feminist theory and philosophy broadly conceived. And we look at scholarly development as well as pedagogic development within these areas as a starting point. And I was looking at the inaugural meeting, and there are only 19 people. So 19 of us started this organization in 2007 in Tennessee. And now, as of 2014, I'm very delighted to say that we are almost close to 200 people signed up for this organization. We have every year a conference, and my goal here is to have everybody sign up for next year onwards. And so every year we have been having this conference, and really sometimes we'll have an open calls, or sometimes we'll have a focus particularly on race or gender or translation or some other themes. And we also have a journal now published by SUNY, and so I hope also you will have a chance to look at some of the amazing articles that we've been producing. I will just say that this time we're very delighted to participate in this occasion, and we have two panels organized for this conference. And the first one is called Maybe, with E, and existential mutability, probability, and uncertainty. And there's another panel called the lines of differentiation, and looking at the questions of the double or the dual or reproductive concepts. And so if you have any questions about PhiloSOPHIA, put to come in contact. So I'm also kind of organizing, managing the listserv and also website, and so as of 2014, now we have elected Kelly Oliver as the executive director, and I'm acting as the assistant director for 3 years. Thank you.
On behalf of the conference committee, I just wanted to take my time to give some quick thanks. First, thanks to all of you who responded to our general call for papers. It was from among those that we chose the 3 Beauvoir Paper Prize recipients, and we'll be recognizing them in an official way on Friday at 5 at the awards ceremony. Thank you also to the graduate school at Southern Illinois University Edwardsville, who provided us with a grant without which we wouldn't have been able to do this. Thanks to Al Romero, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Judy Crane, Chair of the Philosophy Department, for their continued support. And finally, I want to thank Barbara and Wacha, who is responsible for the wonderful graphic design that you see here on these programs and on the website and on our posters.
Thank you.
Feminism. The Roundtable on Latina Feminism is a Latina space dedicated to all issues related to Latina and Latin American feminisms. We welcome Latinas and their allies to engage in critical, creative, and supportive discussions. Too many academic conferences are based on a model which prioritizes competitive, agonistic discussions. We wish to make room for alternative encounters. I can say it in my head, but not when I speak it. We wish to make room for to forge connections and learn from one another. Our first meeting was in 2006, and just on a personal note, I attended 2 of the conferences, the roundtables, And it makes a difference. The signs under which we gather make a difference, and the sense of possibilities that come with those signs. And that certainly has been my experience with the Caribbean Philosophical Association, and I know it makes a difference for all of us. And I just want to say on behalf of Martina and others of us in the Latina feminism community that we are so very pleased to be part of this and to help do our part and contribute and receive all that's to be gained from gatherings like the folks here have characterized. Thank you so much.
Spoke with our secretary of the circle, Gail Johnson, and Len Lawler is associate secretary of the circle, to see if this would be something that the Merleau-Ponty circle could do, because frankly we never received this kind of invitation before. And so they gave it the green light, and I'm really pleased that the Merleau-Ponty circle is part of this gathering. And I was thinking about this as I was coming here yesterday on the plane, and just so excited about this program, and I'm like, this is the Philosophers' Woodstock. Even with the buttons. There are the buttons. I don't know if you've seen the buttons yet, but Peg's got all these buttons.
No, Jane has got all these buttons. Jane's daughter has got all these buttons.
Jane brought the buttons.
Oh, yes.
The buttons are amazing, Jane.
Really? Made by her
Please
daughter.
make them and wear them.
And I was at Philosophers' Woodstock before I saw the buttons. Now it really, there it is. So at any rate, I think it is a historic conference. And the Merleau-Ponty Circle has two panels. One is taking place right after the session this morning. The other one will be on Saturday morning. The first one is on renegotiating the ontic and the ontological. The second one is on ethics, freedom, and violence. So, you know, the Merleau-Ponty Circle over the years, we really encourage we're very open to any papers as long as there is some Merleau-Ponty in it. It's something our conference takes place every September. Usually, this year we're having one of our rare overseas meetings. We're going to be at the University of Geneva, and the topic is on adversity and creation, which very much ties in with, I think, the themes that will be discussed at this conference now. So I hope in a year, which now there's still time for, next year it'll be at Worcester Polytech. And so I urge people to look into, we have a website, and the Merleau-Ponty Circle, I think, is one of the friendliest, most hospitable conferences to go to. It's where I first presented a paper as a grad student, and I've been going for 30 years, and I think that everyone who goes to it finds that it's a really constructive, positive environment. And so I urge you, if you have never come to the Circle, to please come, and I think the spirit that we have here is one that we also share in the circle. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, 5 new sessions.